A live look at the White House as the bill to release the full Epstein files was sent to the president's desk today. President Trump said this week he would sign that bill into law. Now survivors of Epstein are reacting to the passage of the bill. Annie Farmer says she was sexually abused by the convicted sex offender Anne Ghislaine Maxwell when she was 16 years old. She's now a psychologist who works with trauma survivors. Farmer told CBS Mornings she shares the fear that survivors won't get the transparency that they want.
We're very much hoping that the language in the bill would make it such that they can't do that type of redaction. But you know, there have been recent things like suddenly calling for this investigation, even though it was, just this summer that they, this administration, or the DOJ, I should say, released a statement that there was no further evidence for any need for investigation, right? So these files should be available now. They should not be tied up in any kind of investigation, but we're concerned about things like that might get in the way of what we're looking for.
Former Harvard University President Larry Summers continues to step back from the public after emails between himself and Jeffrey Epstein were released. Today, Summers announced he will resign from his position on the board of OpenAI. The emails included conversations asking Epstein for advice on romantically pursuing a woman Summers said saw him as a mentor. Summers was married at the time. Meanwhile, Harvard is opening a new inquiry into faculty connections with Epstein that will include another investigation into Summers, who still teaches there. A student in one of Summers' classes posted this video of him talking about Epstein.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities for a time, but I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations.
I'm joined now by Deirdre Fernandez, a reporter at the Boston Globe who has covered this story extensively. So, Deirdre, what did your reporting reveal about Larry Summers' relationship with Epstein, and also how it extended to Summers' wife?
Sure. So these new emails that were released by the House Committee basically gave us a window into the very deep connections between both Epstein and Summers and his wife, too. And what it revealed was that there was a previously unreported gift that Epstein helped direct to Summers' wife, Elisa New. She was a poetry professor at Harvard at the time, and was trying to launch this new course that eventually became a PBS program. And so Epstein was crucial to the development of that program, helping her woo Woody Allen to appear, to do an interview, helping her getting her connected to donors and other foundations, and just even helping her figure out who to interview, what topics that may be interesting. So he was very involved in both with Summers and with Summers' wife's poetry and professional projects.
Yeah, adding to that, your story says, as you said, Epstein helped broker this major gift for her that, quote, changed everything for her at Harvard. That wasn't mentioned in Harvard's 2020 Epstein report. What exactly was left out?
So what was in the report, Elisa New, the professor, Summers' wife, she was mentioned in a footnote, and Larry Summers himself was only mentioned once in a glancing kind of reference in the report. And in the new situation, Epstein's foundation had given her money, about $110,000, and that was mentioned in the report. But there was no mention of this changing, like this really seminal gift that gave her leverage, she said in emails, at Harvard, and helped people at Harvard take her project more seriously. That was not mentioned at all.
So speaking of emails, when you first saw the newly released emails, what jumped out at you as new or different from what we already knew about Epstein and Harvard?
Well, we knew Epstein, and there had been a lot of concern years ago about how entrenched he was at Harvard, that he had an office, that he had a phone there. But these emails reveal how close and personal some of the relationships were, especially with Summers, who was the former president of Harvard. I mean, they were just so chummy, which is, I think, something that surprised and took faculty and students at Harvard by surprise. And the fact that his wife had her own distinct relationship with Epstein was a surprise too.
As we've reported, Summers has stepped back from several outside roles after these emails became public, but he's still a professor at Harvard. So what happens next for him? And then also Harvard's broader culture around powerful donors.
Yes, so even after the 2020 report, there was an acknowledgement that there were some gaps in the way Harvard dealt with donors, especially banned donors, and how they communicated who could and couldn't get gifts. Harvard has tried to change some of that culture back from 2020 and 2019 when this was a big issue. But now they're doing a new review based on some of these emails on Summers and anybody else who might have been mentioned in these emails, and trying to decide if anything warrants any action from Harvard. And Summers has said that he would like to continue teaching finish off his semester and finish his courses. So we'll see what happens next with that.
Deirdre Fernandez. Deirdre, thank you.